Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe, is done as the Raiders quarterback. Decision to go with the rookie Aiden O'Connell for the rest of the year. And the Raiders' new regime having a meeting this morning.
The Las Vegas Raiders just announced it. It seems like their changes are extending far beyond the scope of just things that are occurring in the front office. As a matter of fact, there's going to be a change at the quarterback position, and it makes a lot of sense. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. We've been grinding like crazy over the past couple of days. Your boy's on 4 hours of sleep. I hope the man editing this is on more sleep than that. So if you want to take a moment to support the channel, make sure you check out our memberships program. And now that we get all that out of the way, break! Leading up to the season, I spammed predictions at you guys consistently. Michael Porter Jr. needed over 5.5 rebounds in his season debut. Tyreek Hill just needed a touchdown, and Steph Curry just needed 1 point. Shout out to those that tailed. For those of you guys that were able to make money, we're giving away our picks for free all season long for the NBA and NFL on my Instagram at @TheFlightMike. And right now, when you use promo code Mikerophone on Prize Picks, they'll match your deposit up until $100. Thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Last night, in the middle of the night, which seems to be a recurring theme recently in NFL news, the Las Vegas Raiders announced that they were moving on from their head coach, Josh McDaniels. This comes after Josh McDaniels amassed a staggering 9-16 win-loss record with the Las Vegas Raiders, following a remarkable effort by their previous interim head coach, Rich Bisaccia, who led the Las Vegas Raiders to their very first playoff berth in 5 years, which also was compounded with Derek Carr having his best season of his career. Josh McDaniels inherited quite possibly the best version of the Raiders that he could. He got a brand new reinvigorated Derek Carr, who just traded for his best friend in college and one of the top wide receivers in the NFL, Davante Adams. And this was the year before Josh Jacobs emerged as one of the top running backs in the entire NFL. The defense is amazing as well. You had players like Max Crosby. At the time they signed Chandler Jones. This team on paper was ready for, at the very minimum, make some noise in the AFC West. And in typical Josh McDaniels fashion, he came in and pretty much did the same exact thing that got him fired with the Denver Broncos. You see, when Josh McDaniels accepted a contract with the Denver Broncos in January of 2009, he decided to trade the starting QB at the time, Jay Cutler, who was still in the middle of his rookie scale contract, by the way, to the Chicago Bears for Kyle Orton, 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. And in hindsight, that trade wasn't so bad. It's just what he did with the capital and his strategy for a quarterback following it was pretty bad. The plan for Josh McDaniels was to select Tim Tebow in the 2010 NFL draft. So this man handcuffed his career to Tim Tebow, and subsequently, I don't want to say directly, but that very same season, he ended up going 3-9 and getting fired in the middle of the season. And then, like clockwork, once again, he decided to move on from Derek Carr last year, bring in another quarterback that he's familiar with, Jimmy Garoppolo, and try to handcuff his career to Jimmy G. And with respect to Jimmy G, man, whenever he was healthy historically, he's been a solid QB. But the problem with Jimmy Garoppolo is he struggled to be healthy, and when he is healthy, he's just an above-average game manager. Davante Adams even said throughout the offseason that he had questions about the direction of this offense. And this is Davante Adams coming off of one of his best seasons to date. And he did it upon getting traded to a new team. He didn't give you the Kenny Golladay treatment. So I said at the time that moving on from Derek Carr and then bringing on Jimmy Garoppolo, who's a marginal improvement from Derek Carr at best, especially considering that they just extended Derek Carr, was a bit of a head scratcher. And at least the Raiders decided to rectify the problem by moving on from Josh McDaniels. But it seems like that's not all, because it seems like at this point, Jimmy Garoppolo's future is in jeopardy. Jimmy Garoppolo's situation was very unfortunate, considering the fact that he had an offensive coordinator that he had familiarity familiarity with, becoming a head coach, and building a system around him. He got an opportunity to be a starter once again in a scenario that really made sense for him. He pretty much got to play with his version of the New England Patriots. Hell, before Josh McDaniels pursued Jimmy Garoppolo, he gave Jarrett Stidham an opportunity before benching Derek Carr, and he pursued Tom Brady heavily in the offseason. And when he couldn't settle on Tom Brady, he went for the next best thing, another former New England Patriot quarterback that he worked with in Jimmy Garoppolo. Even recently, he was showing favoritism towards expatriates. I mean, he started Brian Hoyer over Aiden O'Connell recently. And it seems like now that Jimmy Garoppolo's security blanket is gone, now that the guy that is going to show favoritism towards multiple former ex-New England Patriots is gone, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be out of luck. Because according to Mikerophone and Ian Rappaport, the Las Vegas Raiders are starting Lil Aiden O'Connell over Jimmy Garoppolo. Antonio Pierce says that they feel like he just gives them the best chance. Interim general manager Champ Kelly says that players were very supportive, guys are rallying behind him, we're excited for him to get his opportunity. Honestly, I'm excited for him to get his opportunity as well. And Antonio Pierce is coming in with some electricity here, saying we're on the same page, the staff is connected, we're tired of losing, it's not a good feeling, mentions commitment to excellence mantra, and they'll play with an edge, swag, and a certain confidence when we walk out that damn tunnel. This is exactly what I would want to hear if I'm a Raider fan. Antonio Pierce bringing a certain swagger to a team that desperately needs it. And I really hope if he succeeds
that the Raiders extend him.
Look, man, the writing was on the wall when Jimmy Garoppolo performed terribly on national television versus the Detroit Lions. He only completed 10 of his passes out of 21 attempts, but famously, he missed Davante Adams on 2 separate occasions. I mean, Davante Adams at minimum would have had 2 receiving touchdowns and over 150 receiving yards if Jimmy G just didn't miss him. But instead, Davante Adams went viral on national television for slamming his helmet and for, well, voicing his frustration once again with the Las Vegas Raiders offense. I guess you could say theoretically Davante Adams is the driving force that got Josh McDaniels fired, but this was one of the few instances where I think a player getting a coach fired was a good thing. Because the Las Vegas Raiders have a plethora of talent. I know it sounds surprising, but it's the truth, I promise you. I mean, the defending rushing champ in Josh Jacobs, without a doubt a top 3 wide receiver in Davante Adams, a gem in Jacoby Myers, a very solid wide receiver in Hunter Renfrow, 2 very capable tight ends in Michael Mayer and Austin Hooper. And that's before we mention one of their best players, defensively, Max Crosby. This team is loaded with potential. I feel like the decision to start Aiden O'Connell over Jimmy Garoppolo is the fact that the upside for Jimmy Garoppolo just isn't there anymore. You know what you have in Jimmy G, and I feel like he's entering that stage of his career where he's probably just going to be a very capable backup or just a great mentor. And honestly, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo really minds. He's won a Super Bowl ring as a backup to Tom Brady. He's played in a Super Bowl before. He's made $198 million throughout the span of his career, and he's 31 years old. At this point, I don't think this is something that's personal against Jimmy Garoppolo. I think this is more about the Raiders trying to figure out who their man under center is. And if you look at the potential NFL draft order right now, the Las Vegas Raiders would be picking at the number 8 overall pick if the season ended today. But they're within a few games away from potentially getting within the top 4. And the teams that they're going up against are more than capable of potentially winning their games. I mean, Arizona has the worst record in the NFL, and they should get Kyler Murray back within the next couple of weeks, who would do anything in his power for the Arizona Cardinals not to get the number 1 overall pick. I don't necessarily know about the Carolina Panthers or the Chicago Bears, and the rest of those teams are a toss-up, but theoretically speaking, the Las Vegas Raiders could find themselves in a position to select Drake May or Caleb Williams or one of the quarterbacks that will declare in this year's loaded 2024 quarterback class in the NFL draft. And you guys know I'm a huge proponent of building inside out. You know, I think it's a good idea to usually get your franchise left tackle, then your franchise edge rusher, then maybe get your quarterback some weapons before drafting your quarterback. But in the case of the Las Vegas Raiders, they already have all of those boxes checked off, except probably their left tackle. Their offensive line could use some work, but any rookie quarterback that inherits this situation should have a dominant rookie season. I mean, Davante Adams as your wide receiver 1, he's still under contract. Jacoby Myers having a resurgent season, I don't necessarily know if that's because of Josh McDaniels' favoritism or not. Michael Mayer has proven to be more than capable as a tight end, and Austin Hooper has been great throughout his career for for the roles that he's been playing in. And again, Josh Jacobs, defending rushing champion. Hell, you have Jimmy Garoppolo under contract for one more season, and his dead cap is $55.3 million this year, but next year it comes down to a $28.3 million, and then there's a potential out in 2025. So it's not necessarily the worst situation either. I think the Raiders are in a great situation to take a quarterback in this year's NFL draft and put him in a great situation to succeed. And I'm not a Raider fan by any means. I've been critical of instances where teams traded up for a quarterback like the Carolina Panthers. I've been critical of teams that may have selected QBs prematurely before figuring out other parts of their team. That's not the Las Vegas Raiders. They're in a situation where either Aiden O'Connell thrives or they find their quarterback of the future in the NFL draft this offseason. Either way, this situation could be a lot worse. I'm sure Jimmy Garoppolo will be fine with his bench role, and I'm sure he'll thrive in it just like he did in his final year with the San Francisco 49ers. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, man. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.